In America, everyone counts, and the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Respond today online, by phone, or by mail, and help inform hundreds of billions in funding for education, health programs, and more. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov. Joining me now for a look at what's happening on the ground is one of the protesters, Kendall West, founder of the African American Club. Kendall, glad to have you on Roland Unfiltered.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Doing great. There is this perception that all you see are out-of-control white folks out there protesting in Kenosha, a city 75% white. What is actually happening there from your perspective?
From my perspective, the black population, the largest black population, are there as well. But to be honest with you, we are the ones that are doing the majority of the peaceful protesting. We've been organized. We've been very vocal about the actions that have been taken up until this point, from the shooting until present. So with that being said, we respect the law enforcement's rules, regulations, policies, procedures in reference to their, their orders when it comes to different curfews and stuff like that. So the agitators, the people who are out here making things worse, aren't of our majority. Sure, we may be a minority group, but of the majority of people that are out there protesting, our community is doing it the right way.
So are there any African Americans? So first of all, are y'all protesting in a separate location than what we're seeing each night? Because that video we showed where that truck was burned out is near the courthouse. And so what's going on there? And have any African Americans gone to where they are and literally said, hey, y'all ain't repping us. You're not repping Jacob Blake. You're not repping Black Lives Matter. Y'all are sitting here making us look bad.
Absolutely. So the first part, when it comes, I guess the larger group of the African American population, I wouldn't say that we're centrally located, because everyone is everywhere at this point. But we started at the courthouse, and the first night of those protests, starting out there at the courthouse, it was dispersed, and it was kind of moved from that point on to other sections of the city. Now, with that being said, I know for a fact there are people, black men, black women, not just black men and women, but there are people. For instance, there's a friend of mine. His name is Ronnie Brown, and he stopped one of these agitators from burning down one of the museums. He's been very, very vocal, very, very active. Not just him, but Alvin Owens, who's been very, very active as well. Dr. Pritchard, Ray Lopez, all of these different people that I can name, who have literally been giving their souls to this movement, because we have the ear of the people outside of Kenosha, because this systemic problem has been going on for many, many years.
So do you believe that what should, and again, just let me know if this is actually happening. Is there a particular group or groups who are saying we're going to take charge of this? Meaning we're going to have organized protest. We're going to say, this is where we're meeting. This is the time we're meeting. This is how long we're going to go. And then that sort of separates from what you're seeing out there. Because, again, the actions that we're seeing in Kenosha by a lot of these white folks that are being live streamed by other white folks, for me, I'm sort of like, hell, where are the black folks who are live streaming? And look, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I got no problem. We have a component where we can literally send one of your folks a link where they can actually stream from their Android or their iPhone. So that way, that is actually getting out than what we're seeing. And so, is there any plan or any effort to say we are going to take control of this? And so, if anybody's doing anything outside of this, they are not having anything to do with us.
Absolutely. So I guess to unpack all of that, there are groups Unfortunately, we don't have a larger following because we got a small city. We're not Milwaukee and we're not Chicago. We're
Right.
snug in between the two. So our following isn't as heavy, but there are people, for instance, Jesse Franklin, who is an activist in Milwaukee. He has come down. Again, Alvin Owens has been very, very vocal when it comes to organizing. They send out direct information through social medias and stuff like that, social media apps, and they give you dates, times, where to actually go when it comes to locations, what we're going to be doing when it comes to marching, where we're going to be located, how we're going to march, what the chants are going to be. It's very, very militantly organized, and for the most part, we haven't had any issues when it comes to the peaceful protesters. It's when the lights go out. That's when we have the issues, and people, unfortunately, people don't want to see the positive side of the African American community here in Kenosha. They want to see the other side, and the other side is literally holding on to, I guess, they're being put into a position where if you can get a few African Americans in a big group of agitators, then they're getting pointed out, and that's, in my opinion, not fair.
Do you believe that what we are seeing are folks who are indeed provocateurs, people who are there to do things to give the protesters, the people who are doing it right, a bad image? I've heard that in Portland, and we know in Minneapolis that there were white supremacists who were mixed in, who were causing the mayhem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I witnessed things myself. Kenosha isn't that big. I was born and raised here. I have went away for school and military and things of that nature, whatever. When I came back, it's still pretty relatively small. With that being said, I know a lot of people. I know familiar faces. I know different faces, and the familiar faces are those who are in the peaceful portions of everything. The people that are coming from out of state. I don't understand why we're even seeing license plates that have Washington State. When it comes to, and I'm sure Wisconsin's great. It's amazing. We love especially the lakefront is amazing. But I haven't seen it. People coming from Utah. People are coming from all these different places, and they're centrally located in the areas where we're having issues. And the problem that we're having is it sucks even more because I've been able to see people not being able to hold their opinions on social media and things like that. So with that being said, I kind of want to bring to the forefront when it comes to these agitators. They're burning down the wrong neighborhoods. They are burning things that are literally for the Black community. And these things and these places, I mean, from small business owners to or Black small business owners to displacing kids or minorities, period, in a specific area. Now, this is not fair because to us, we know better. We know that these areas they're off limits. If you're going to protest this situation, why burn down the same population that represents the community that you're protesting for, which gives us and which gives me the opinion that it has to be someone from the outside, because there is no way you should be burning up the uptown in Kenosha, because that is our area.
So have you or any of the other Black protesters, has MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, these networks, have they reached out to y'all? Because again, if you look at what's being paid, now you've got, all the candidates who are speaking on what's happening. People are demanding folks should be calling folks out for this. You've got, of course, these athletes who are now outraged by what happened with Jacob Blake. But again, I think just like what we saw in Portland and Seattle and other places, it begins to take this whole turn away. And again, I'm watching these live streams at night. I'm up till 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm seeing a whole bunch of white people. I'm seeing maybe one, maybe two Black people, but for the most part, I'm seeing nearly all white people.
Your vision is not flawed. you are seeing exactly what you described. To answer your earlier question, are they reaching out to us? I believe that they're reaching out to the people who are there for the photo op. Unfortunately, they're there to say that I was in the presence of this guy, that guy, and the mayor. Whereas there are people who I've named earlier, just a small few, who are literally the people who are making the progress that needs to be done and needs to be seen. For instance, we have Frank Nitti, who's out of Milwaukee, who's marching to Washington right now with my business manager, Billy Violet. They are marching for this cause, and they have had issues and things like that. But I don't know if they have received the national news that they actually deserve. So that way we can have these conversations, not just have conversations, but have these conversations directed to a solution. Now, I apologize for talking too much, but
no, you're fine. You're fine.
The solutions are there, but no one wants to hear it. For instance, as the founder of the African American Club, it behooves me to believe that there has never been an African American club in the city of Kenosha, the state of Wisconsin, and or the entire United States of America. And with that being said, that hurts my soul, because we have other societies that have these places for African Americans or for their cultures to be developed, or their cultures to be experienced and enjoyed, except for us. So I took it upon myself to start the process of erecting a facility for the African American community and those who would like to enjoy the culture, to learn about the culture, not just the watered down slavery conversation of our history. We are inventors. We are doctors. We are lawyers. Black people are great. And it is up to us to show how great we are, but not just that, but to take ownership of it, because our culture is getting appropriated or misappropriated every single day. Things go viral every single day off of Black culture, yet the majority are those who are getting the accolades and things of that nature.
So if there are, so do this here. I mean, we have information. If any of your people, if they are live streaming, if they're live streaming your protest, I'm going to send our folks get your information.
I have a guy. He live streams. His name is Corey, and Corey is literally he's the eyes on for us.
All right. So Corey's the one. So he's shooting and he's live streaming. So and he's live streaming where?
Facebook. If I'm not mistaken, he has all the social medias, and he records. He's one of those skateboarding guys. So he moves around. So
here's what we'll do. We will connect Corey with our digital folks, and then that way when y'all are protesting, we can pick that up and actually stream it on our platforms. I mean, I got 2.7 million. And then that way that goes out. And then what's also important, if y'all are sending out where you're protesting and times and information, we can also amplify that, so people know that these are the legitimate protesters. This is what people are doing. These are folks who have an agenda, who live there. And I got no problem calling out other national media saying this is who y'all should be talking to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have those people's information.
Okay.
You can contact me. You can contact my business manager, Billy Violet, when it comes to all of these things. If I'm not mistaken, another big one is going to be Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Civic Park, and that's going to be right across the street from the courthouse, and that is going to be us. And those people, whatever, who understand that the peaceful protesting, it works.
Got it. Yep.
And we're here for it. So, but yeah, like I said, there are things that are in the works to kind of change the narrative, or to actually just change the narrative, especially when it comes to our community. being here, coming back here, I observed that there's nothing for us to do, nothing for us to have or call our own. And again, that's the reason why I like to plug the African American Club. Donations are going to be there. Go to the AfricanAmericanClub.com. You can call me back if you have any questions or anything like that at 866-255-1865 or 866 BLK 1865 to get an idea of what the African American Club is, what we're planning as a social club as well as a business incubator, so that way we can harbor and foster those Black-owned businesses and Black-owned community inside of the African American Club. Tagline: Stronger Together. Tagline: Black Wall Street, Kenosha.
All right. Well, look, I will have my booker send an email, get other information, so we can push that out and amplify that. Kendall, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Want to bring in my panel, Dr. Greg Carr, Chair, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University, Reese Colbert, Black Women's Views, Erica Savage-Wilson, host Savage Politics Podcast. Greg, I'll start with you. Bottom line is, this is why you have to have, again, independent Black media, because, again, what we are seeing every night, we are seeing white folks out there protesting in the streets. We're seeing them burn stuff up. You hear this brother saying, no, I'm from here. That is not us. And that has to be stipulated so folk understand really what's happening.
Of course, brother. And yes, it is. No question. Everything I support, of course, Brother West, and everything he's saying. I think we have to be very careful, though. There is no standard that Black people can meet in this country that would satisfy our open enemies. There is no respectable level of protest. There is no refraining from breaking windows or anything else that would stop these people. Kyle Rittenhouse is a white terrorist, and so are the police everywhere, including Kenosha. They gave him water bottle. He's got his long rifle over there talking, and this boy goes over here and starts his murder rampage. And we saw that he would be rewarded. If he wasn't arrested, he'd be like Mark and Patricia McCloskey at the Terrorist National Convention this week. He would be given a medal. He would be given a platform. My point is this. Brother Kendall can try to educate all he wants. You go back to the Atlanta insurrection of 1906. Dr. Du Bois was like, and living in Atlanta, saying, I think the world is just thinking wrong about race. And then they lynched a Black man and stuck his knuckles in the butcher shop window, put them on display. My point is this. There is no way to convince these white nationalist terrorists that we deserve to be human. The only thing they are going to respect is when we break their backs through economics, through politics, through organizing. And those white people who don't want to be on the wrong side of history need to join us. But it ain't about how many windows you shattered or whether you shattered them or not. As Charles Blow said in the New York Times yesterday, their job is to spread confusion and obscure reality. They have a reality and they're going to stick to that. I don't give a damn if we all marched in line silently and ain't break nothing. That's not the issue.
See, here's the deal, Erica. My deal is not making them comfortable and saying, oh, no, we're all peaceful. The issue for me is I want to make sure that Black people are the ones who are getting the attention and are speaking to the issues in Kenosha, and not have national media just show these images of a bunch of white folks running around. And as you heard Kendall say, they're looking at the license plates. Look, the white boy, Kyle Rittenhouse, was from Illinois. He said, we got white folks who are coming in from all these other parts of the country, which says they're not local. And so what they're doing is just running to the next hotspot, bringing all their mayhem, acting a fool. And there needs to be somebody say, no. Where are the people who are from here, who are going to be living here when these fools move on to the next hotspot?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Roland. And, we've seen this in the cause that Tamika Mallory and Linda Sarsour have taken up in Louisville, Kentucky. I saw Facebook videos of white domestic terrorists, a.k.a. militia groups, that were occupying the areas with which they are protesting. They were recording license plates, and they were actually reporting live hour by hour of what the activity was against what they consider to be radical Black and brown people. So, I do agree with what Dr. Carr said around there's no way that a Black person can comport themselves to really gain some level of sympathy or understanding or empathy or really kind of alignment with what's right. But also, to your point, Roland, about ensuring that people that are on the ground organizing and doing the work are the folks that are talked with and connected to, because we've seen Tucker Carlson successfully with his white terrorist campaign continue to lift forward and place sympathy around Kyle, who is in fact a white domestic terrorist. So that's why platforms like this are of the utmost importance, and that honestly, it is up to the audience to really kind of share out this platform in a much more meaningful way, because even though, mainstream media is very much so prominent, digital is taking over. And so again, we are in this new era of civil rights, and it definitely is going to require that all of us get involved, not just a few people, but all of us.
The key here, Reese, is making sure Black people stay centered. Because, see, again, what happens in this, and we see it, it's already happened. Jacob Blake gets shot 7 times in the back on Sunday around 5 p.m. All of a sudden, you have protest. And then you have, all of a sudden on Tuesday, white boy loses his mind, comes with a gun. He kills 2 people, both white, shoots a 3rd person who's also white. And so all of a sudden, now the conversation is actually a white supremacist who fires his gun, who shot 3 white people. In the midst of that, has nothing to do with the actions of Kenosha, Wisconsin, and how they treated this Black man. And so I think what always has to happen, and it was the same thing that happened in Portland when we had the folks on with the Vote Wall group. My whole deal is that's where the messaging has to go out, where Black folks say, hey, that bullshit, that ain't us. So don't y'all come here talking about Black Lives Matter and talk about Black people. No. Go get y'all white folks who are over there acting a fool. That's not us.
Yeah, I mean, Roland, I do agree with you in the sense of how these movements tend to be gentrified in Columbus by white agitators. And, they do manage to slip in the white supremacists and white nationalists and the white domestic terrorists like Kyle Rittenhouse. And actually, I wouldn't even call that slipping in, because here you have the Kenosha police in tanks for peaceful protesters that are lollygagging and handing out water to armed domestic terrorists.
And saying glad y'all are here.
Exactly. So I still tend to side with Dr. Carl on this. This is not about respectability. This isn't even about order in terms of peaceful protesting. The order is about the social order of white supremacy. And that welcomes violence, whether it's white victims or Black victims. If you're standing on the opposite side of that white supremacist social order, then you're collateral damage, and the person who kills you, who's a white terrorist, becomes a martyr on Fox News, Tucker Carlson and Ann Coulter and all those other degenerates. And so I don't think that it's a matter of how we comport ourselves. As Eric also said, I think it's more of a matter of the media doing what they want to do. And as Black people, we have a duty to do what your show is doing, which is centering the Black voices, not for the sake of saying, look how respectable we are, but for the sake of making sure that our issues are centered. The fact that Jacob Blake is handcuffed to a bed, what crime did he even commit?
And the cops will not say why he is handcuffed. And so I just think that, again, while these things are happening, is we have to make sure, because look, we know how mainstream media is going to play the game, okay? We know it. They follow the mayhem, all right?
Yeah.
You set it on fire, shots fired, they're showing up. You got a peaceful protest where they're talking about issues, they're not there. And so my whole deal is we've got to make sure that when these things happen, we're constantly centering that, because when this all go back to controlling the narrative. That's just bottom line. You control the narrative. When they take the narrative, then that thing is just gone, and it's hard as hell to rein that thing back. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. As our community comes together to support the fight against racial injustice, I want to take a second to talk about one thing we can do to ensure our voices are heard. Not tomorrow, but now. Have your voices heard in terms of what kind of future we want by taking the 2020 census today at 2020census.gov? Now, folks, let me help you out. The census is a count of everyone living in the country. It happens once every 10 years. It is mandated by the U.S. Constitution. The thing that's important is that the census informs funding, billions of dollars, how they are spent in our communities every single year. I grew up in Clinton Park in Houston, Texas, and we wanted new parks and roads and a senior citizen center. Well, the census helps inform all of that and where funding goes. It also determines how many seats your state will get in the U.S. House of Representatives. Young black men and young children of color are historically undercounted, which means a potential loss of funding for services that helps our community. Folks, we have the power to change that. We have the power to help determine where hundreds of billions in federal funding go each year for the next 10 years. Funding that can impact our community, our neighborhoods, and our families and friends. Folks, responses are 100% confidential and can't be shared with your landlord, law enforcement, or any government agency. So please, take the 2020 census today. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov.